Good evening, everybody. This is Danny Thompson with the BuzzCity post-game show for game number 35. Tonight's game against Minnesota. Like I said, once again, I'm your host, Danny Thompson, senior NBA writer for the threepointconversion.com, covering your Charlotte Hornets. And this is the most comprehensive post-game Hornets show you're going to find anywhere on the face of the planet. So for the next, about 25, 30 minutes or so, we're going to talk about tonight's game, talk about what we're going to see in the All-Star break, and where the Hornets are as we reach the All-Star game. Tonight was the final game of a 6-game road trip, and the Hornets ended up tonight playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves, fresh off a game on Monday night, where they did not play well, a game they were exhausted against the Portland Trail Blazers, and what we call a 3-game and 4-night period. They take on a Timberwolves team tonight that's just completely shorthanded, and they're just not very good. And for those tonight saw it, Hornets took care of business as they closed up the first half of the stretch. Final score tonight up in Minneapolis. Hornets take care of business 135-102 as the Hornets have become tied for first place with the Miami Heat in the Southeast Division of the Eastern Conference. So before I get into it, let everybody know, if you are watching for the first time, welcome. If you are new, if you're continuing watching the show, once again, welcome as well too. This is on the Haps TV app, so please go download the Haps app. That way you know when my shows go live, and also you can always have a chance to stop and comment and also share with your friends as well too. This platform is amazing because people like myself and other journalists across the United States use this to get content out pretty quickly. Also, by subscribing to the Haps app, you'll be able to get 100 coins, which you'll be able to donate in the work and support it as well too. So if you're in the chat, by all means, if you're in the chat, reading Facebook, Haps, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, even Twitter, please drop your comments on the board, and I'll get to everything on there. And as well, too, if you like to support the work, please, by all means, drop some coins, drop a couple dollars in there. Let a brother know, show some love. As my man Mike Patton is dropping through as always. The Hornets did their thing tonight. Yes, the Hornets did close out the first half of the season, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do tonight. And to be honest, listen, the Timberwolves are not very good. All right. No matter how you look at the Timberwolves, you can change coaches, you can change cities, you can bring back the hologram of Kevin Garnett. It's not going to change how good the Timberwolves are. Timberwolves tonight without D'Angelo Russell, who had surgery on his left knee, Malik Beasley, who's been suspended and won't be back until probably the end of the month because of his off the court indiscretions in the offseason. And they didn't even play 3 other guys on the roster. The Timberwolves, even though they have Karl-Anthony Towns and the top overall pick, Anthony Edwards, this team isn't very good. But in the first part of the game, you would have realized that you thought Minnesota was a playoff team because Charlotte went down early. At one point, they were down 21-10. We're about 7 minutes into the game, and you were thinking to yourself, there's no way this team should be losing to arguably the worst team in the NBA. Well, in typical fashion, the Hornets, what they do best is they've learned how to put runs together. And like I said, they put a big run together. JB called a timeout at the stretch. And at that point, it seemed like after Karl-Anthony Towns Anthony Edwards knocked out a 3-pointer, the Hornets started locking in on defense. Then they went on a patented run, and they had a couple of these this game tonight. At one point, the Hornets had a chance. They tied the game at 23 with a 11-2 run to tie the game. After that, the Hornets got the lead, and they were pretty much playing back and forth to the end of the first quarter. The problem was the Hornets got caught. Malik Monk got hot into the quarter, knocked out a couple of threes. Hornets were up 36-33 at the end of one, going against Del Curry's theory of not allowing 30 points in the quarter. Well, second quarter happens. Statistic-wise, we're going to the second. Before going to the second quarter, let's talk statistics in the first quarter. It was really a big effort early on from Gordon Hayward. His first game back in the lineup. Hayward had 10 points in the first quarter, 4 or 5 shooting. He was getting himself in the flow of rhythm of the game. And then Malik Monk, like I said, knocked down 2 threes. He had 8 points in the quarter. Terry Rozier got off to a good start, had 6 points for the Bugs in the first quarter as they shot 56% from the floor. On the flip side, the Timberwolves got 8 points from Karl-Anthony Towns. There's Karl-Anthony Towns, 8 points and 5 rebounds, doing Karl-Anthony Towns things. But they also got some help from Ricky Rubio. Yes, Rubio, 7 points, 4 assists, a steal, also knocked down a 3-pointer as the Timberwolves kept into the game in the second quarter. But the Hornets started locking in defensively. Remember, like I said, the 30-point rule is what Del Curry talks about, and James Borrego said he wanted to keep as many 20-point quarters as possible. Well, in the second quarter, the Hornets started tightening up the defense, and when they started tightening up the defense, Minnesota really couldn't hit shots. Outside of Jake Layman, who was perfect 3 of 3 in the quarter, the rest of the Timberwolves shot 5 of 19 in the quarter. Great defensive effort for the Hornets. It was about basically blitzing shooters, and really more. The zone was actually working in the second quarter. On the offensive end for Charlotte, Gordon Hayward continued his hot shooting at 7 points in the quarter. You got 7 points from PJ Washington as well, too. He started warming himself up. Hornets had 4 players in double figures at the break as they took the lead at the break by the score of 62-56 at halftime. Like I said, Hayward had 17. Rozier and Washington both had 11. On the flip side for the Timberwolves, Layman had 12. Ricky Rubio had 10. The good news is Karl-Anthony Towns was drawing fouls left and right. He had 3 first-half fouls and kind of took him out of it. Well, the third quarter started out, and I think the part of the third quarter was the roughest was Karl-Anthony Towns picking up that 4th foul. After Towns picked up that 4th foul early in the third quarter, the Hornets became more attacking, and the guy that was doing most attacking was Terry Rozier. Rozier had another huge quarter. He had 18 points in the quarter. Here's the thing with Terry Rozier. All his baskets came from the three-point variety. How do you have 18 points at the three-point variety in the quarter? Rozier basically outscored the Timberwolves in the quarter. He had 18 points. He had 5 3-pointers and had an and one. That's 18 points right there. It was a dominant effort from Rozier in the third quarter. There was nothing the Timberwolves could do to guard him. He was 5 of 6 from the 3-point line. He tied the franchise record for most 3-pointers in one quarter, fell one short, and really the 3-pointer he missed, he was wide open, and he ends up hitting a 3 from the same spot maybe 10 seconds later. The part of the third quarter that was the ugliest part and tells you the entire realm of the Timberwolves season was a stretch in the third quarter, I want to say right around the mid part of the quarter, in between Terry Rozier knocking down 3-pointers left and right, was the fact that Minnesota couldn't hold on to the basketball to save his life. It was like the basketball was full of butter, and the Timberwolves just let everything go off their hands. Was it either being steals from LaMelo Ball, the ball being deflected by P.J. Washington, the fact that the Timberwolves couldn't hit a wide open shot to save their life. Nothing was going the Timberwolves' way, and the Hornets went on not 1 but 2 runs in the quarter, an 18-0 run to start the quarter that put the game away completely, and then they gave a 15-0 run in the fourth quarter as well, too. Those runs pretty much destroyed anything Minnesota had. The Hornets pretty much blew this game open in the third quarter, like I said, because of Rozier. He had the 18 points. LaMelo Ball, after not playing much in the first half, I think he had 13 minutes in the first half. He played 8 in the third quarter, knocked out a couple of threes, knocked out a 3-pointer, had 6 points himself. Miles Bridges started getting into the scoring act. He had 6 as well, too. But really, it was just Terry Rozier knocking down shot after shot after shot. At the end of 3, Hornets were pretty much up 98-76. The real concern came from P.J. Washington, who left the game with an injury, sprained his ankle, didn't look pretty when he sprained it, and he'll be out. He hurt himself. It was going to miss the rest of the game. And it's a devastating loss to the Hornets. He got lost in the fourth quarter. We don't know the severity of the injury. Coach Borrego didn't say much to it afterwards, just that it's going to be a sprained ankle. He'll know more when the team gets back into town. Fourth quarter happens. The Hornets still playing good defense. And it was really LaMelo Ball knocking down 3 more 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. He didn't have to play many minutes because guess what? The game was already out of hand. They got 7 rebounds and 5 assists in the quarter from Miles Bridges. Really was everywhere. Malik Monk had 6 points in the quarter. Anthony Edwards woke up in the fourth quarter. Ironically, took 13 of the team's 28 shots in the fourth quarter. He had 10 points in the fourth. And the Timberwolves pretty much were just outscored in the second half. Hornets outscored the Timberwolves 73-46, and that's how we got tonight's final score. So, observations from tonight's game. Well, if you can say one thing about the Hornets tonight was this is the way you wanted to end the first half. It couldn't get any better than the way the first half ended for the Hornets. All right. A grueling road trip that had this team play a bunch of teams that were above 500. If you look at what LaMelo Ball had to go through in this road trip, for example, just playing point guard wise. You had Mike Conley in the first game. You had Chris Paul the second game. You had Steph Curry. You had Dame Lillard. And you had De'Aaron Fox. Okay. 3 of those guys are all-stars. All right. And Fox is having a phenomenal season. And Mike Conley was on a lot of people's boards to be an all-star this year. Don't take nothing away from Ricky Rubio. Rubio is the worst of the point guards you're playing against. And the way Rubio played tonight, I think Rubio played pretty solid tonight. He had 20 points and 9 assists. And at one point, he was playing so well that LaMelo Ball was riding the bench in the first half defensively. If Rubio's the worst point guard out of a 6-game road trip, that's telling you something. So you already have all those good point guards, and those teams that played were really good. The Jazz, the best team in the NBA. The Suns are a team that just beat the Lakers the other night, last night, but they're a top 5 team in the Western Conference. We all know how good Golden State was and how much of a foul mood they were in after losing in Charlotte the week before because of Draymond Green's ejection at the end of the game. Then you had Portland on a back-to-back, and the Blazers are hard to play against on the road. Doesn't matter what team it is. On top of that, and you have Sacramento and Minnesota in between all of that. When I said when this whole trip started that the Hornets really wanted to be 3-3 this road trip, they accomplished it. But this is not the way they kind of wanted to accomplish it. Big shout out to my main man Pablo up in New York, or LA. Thanks for stopping through, my man. As always, much love to you and everybody on the Haps TV staff. Like, share, tag everybody, and invite all your friends in. All right, so when I said the road trip, the perfect way to be would be 3-3, I don't think the Hornets wanted to be 3-3 this way. I think it's even more impressive how this team went 3-3 when Gordon Hayward missed time. Cody Zeller missed the majority of this trip. And guess what? There were injuries galore, and you didn't have the Martin twins back for a good part of it, the trip due to the COVID situation they dealt with. So Charlotte, and then PJ goes down tonight. Charlotte's had injuries everywhere in this road trip. For them to literally, if you go back and look at the games of this road trip, all right, the Utah game, they were in it for 3 quarters and then forgot what 3-point defense looked like in the fourth quarter of the Utah game. They came back and won that game against Phoenix, and they played really well against Phoenix on the road. Golden State, for the most part, Golden State dominated that game for the most part, and there was really nothing they could do for a team that was irritated, and Draymond Green had a triple-double in 3 quarters and almost had a triple-double in the first quarter by itself. You had the game against Sacramento, which not only did you win that game, you fought back to win that game after being down and pretty much almost out of it. Okay, Portland we all knew was going to be a loss on back-to-back with a shorthanded team. But you knew Minnesota was going to be a win too. So to be at 3-3 in this road trip, you're 1 game under 500. You're at the break, and as long as PJ's ankle can come out fine, he has a week off to rest it. You go into the break 3/4 of the way healthy. I expect Cody Zeller to be back when we get back to work Thursday against Detroit, but I'm not sure about the Devontae Graham situation. But as far as tonight goes, give Charlotte a lot of credit for their efforts tonight. And, this is the way you wanted to do it. They came out and defended the 3-point line very well. They missed 12 out of 15 from the 3-point line in the second half. And even when I asked Coach Borrego at the end of the game his thoughts on the defense in the second half and what it meant was this is the type of statement they wanted to make defensively. He mentioned the fact that they wanted to do this throughout the trip. Some nights were better than others. Some teams were cooperating more. Some rims were cooperating more. The rim didn't cooperate very well against Portland, but it cooperated tonight against Minnesota. That's just the difference. But you gotta be very, very impressed with the team defense they had tonight, and they did it in all levels of the game. It was pretty much outside of that beginning part of the game, probably their best. It's about the first 6 minutes of the game. Outside of that, it was probably the best game they have played on both sides of the ball in about a month or so. Give the Hornets a lot of credit tonight. All right, game balls tonight for the effort tonight. First star of the game tonight. Listen, Terry Rozier had a humongous third quarter. He tied the franchise record for 3-pointers in the quarter, had 18 in the third, 31 points tonight to go along with 4 rebounds, 6 of 12 from the 3-point line, and really pretty much sparked the pulling away part of the third quarter. Rozier, like I said, was just phenomenal everywhere across the board tonight. Second star of the game, you got to give it to Miles Bridges off the bench tonight. 29 minutes, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, a tremendous alley-oop dunk. Scored at all 3 levels, got to the line, knocked down a 3-pointer, got to the line a couple times tonight. Had 7 rebounds in the fourth quarter and was really helping the Hornets control the boards as they out-rebounded the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. Third star of the game, I'm gonna give the third star of the game. I'll make this actually a split third star of the game tonight. I'm gonna give it to Gordon Hayward. 23 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. Fell short of the magical 26-point mark, but he was back in the rotation tonight. Looked really good. The 3-pointers didn't go down tonight. He was 0 of 6, but if you take away that, he was 10 of 12 from inside the 3-point line. Even got to the line a few times tonight. And he also had 5 steals as well, too. Splitting that game ball with him was LaMelo Ball. Had a better second half than he did the first half. Pretty much filled the stat sheet across the board tonight. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals in 26 minutes. So you got to give it to those 4 guys tonight. Malik had 18 points off the bench. Another 3 3-pointers made tonight. PJ Washington, before he went down, 16 points, 9 rebounds, and a couple of steals as well, too. with 3 assists as well. Bismack Biyombo, 8 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists in 29 minutes. Also, they got 2 points and 5 rebounds from Cody Martin in 26 minutes. Caleb Martin and Jalen McDaniels both played right around 6 minutes. And Martin had 3 points and McDaniels had 2. On the Timberwolves side, like I said, 20 points for Ricky Rubio with 9 assists. Karl-Anthony Towns, 16 points and 15 rebounds. The Hornets are now in first place. And everybody can be completely happy with the fact that they're in first place. And I think I will say this myself, as somebody who's been around this team for all season and been around the league for a while, I didn't expect the Hornets to be literally at tie for first place in this division at this point in the season. With so many injuries they've had, so many different lineup changes. I even asked JB about this in postgame. The Hornets didn't play a game for 9 months. They had 2 weeks of practice before we even got to training camp. They had new players on this roster. You had LaMelo Ball. You had Gordon Hayward. You only had maybe about a week and a half of training camp on top of the 2 weeks. But in the 2 weeks they didn't have Hayward or Ball. They have dealt with COVID. They've dealt with 10-plus lineup changes, 10 different starting lineups in 30-plus games. Not saying it's the most, not saying it's the least, but they've had double-digit different starting lineups. On top of that, they don't have a center. They're playing small. Guys are playing out of positions, and there's very little to no practice time they've had. The only time they really had serious practice time is when the Wizards had a bout with COVID, and they gave the Hornets almost a week off. Their second set of week off is because they couldn't even practice. It was all individual. The Hornets in the first half, if you look at who they beat in the first half, they beat Brooklyn. They've beaten Milwaukee. They've beaten Dallas. They beat Phoenix. They beat some of the better teams in the NBA on that side. Take away the losses of Philadelphia because the Sixers have been beating the crap out of the Hornets for the last few years anyway. The Hornets they've beaten teams they hadn't supposed to beat, and they've also lost a few games they shouldn't have lost. But you got to be really, really happy as a Hornets fan where they are right now. I know you have Hornets fan bases. You have some members of the Hornets fan base that are complaining about that James Borrego's not doing a great job. X, Y, and Z. You have people complaining that LaMelo Ball should have been the starting lineup a long time ago. People complain about Devontae Graham and his situation, and where he stands in his rotation. People complain about the rotation of bigs, that we should see more of Nick Richards or Vernon Carey, or we should have more, or they should do something to go get somebody. Before you blame James Borrego for any of this, Borrego has no control of what is being given to him. He's coaching the team that he has, and he's coaching his team day by day. And once again, this is a learning and building process. I don't think there are very many Hornets fans that would have thought this team would have been in first place at the All-Star break, because I'm one of them. Cover this team, I would have never thought that as well, too. Appreciate the 15 cents, Cameron. Always the hello to you as well, too. Like, share, and tag the show as well, too. All right. But also, Pablo, appreciate the appreciate you award, because I appreciate you as well. All right. So when you look at the Hornets and you just look how this roster is shaped, there's only one guy on this roster above 6'8". And I mean, Jalen McDaniels is 6'10", but Jalen McDaniels is really about 175, 180 pounds. So he's not really going to stop anybody in the interior. He's still learning how to grow into his body. But for a Hornets team that doesn't have very much size, PJ Washington's been playing out of the position. He'll be playing out of position probably for an extended amount of time. You got him at the 5. Miles Bridges is playing a completely different role. You're trying to implement LaMelo Ball as a rookie and trying to transition into the NBA, getting rid of the habits that he had in Australia and what he had in his entire playing career, and get him much more of an NBA-style point guard. You're dealing with the fact that Devontae Graham had a horrible start to the season. Terry Rozier has been up and down in the beginning part, but has been way more consistent over the last few weeks. Gordon Hayward got hurt, but he's still adjusting to his role. And a team that didn't have Malik Monk play the first 10-plus games of the season, as he was fighting for his way back to the rotation. For all of that, Bismack Biyombo has started over 20 games at center this year, which was something they didn't expect. And this team is at 500, just right around 500. If they win on Thursday when they get back from the break against Detroit, this team's at 500. And that's a humongous step from a team that won 23 games last season. They're really 6 games away from being 6 more wins away from being the exact same total as last year. So to say that this has been a big disappointment should be an understatement. I don't think it's a disappointment. I think this team has been way better than what it's supposed to be. And I'll be honest with you. If the Hornets were 18-17 instead of 17-18, and if Quinn Snyder and the Jazz weren't blowing away everybody, and I know that those calls tonight were just atrocious against the Sixers tonight, and I'll speak on that on another pod. James Borrego will be getting Coach of the Year consideration. What he has in this roster and what they're doing on the floor, he has deserved Coach of the Year considerations. People complain about the zone defense, but if you look at the Hornets roster defensively, there's only 3 guys on this roster you trust to guard man to play man to man in a 48-minute game that you can trust to defend somebody. Okay, there's only 3 of them because Devontae ain't stopping nobody at 6 foot tall, maybe 5'11", 6 foot, where you want to talk to because of the size situation. Terry Rozier is your best on-ball guard. Cody Martin's your best on-ball forward. And Miles Bridges can guard pretty much anything, 3s and 4s around the league because of his high motor and his athleticism. So those 3 guys are the 3 guys you can guard. Graham ain't guarding nobody offensively. Gordon Hayward's not guarding anybody on the defensive side either. So those 2 aren't guarding anybody. All right. Bismack Biyombo is Bismack Biyombo. He does protect the paint, but he's 6'8". Cody Zeller's never been an all-NBA defensive player. He's just all right. Nothing to write home about. All right. PJ's gotten better as a rim protector, but as a one-on-one defender, he's just an average defender. Look at the bench. Malik Monk does not know what defense looks like, okay? Malik, if his effort's not there, his defensive effort's not there either. He's got to be locked in offensively to play defense. It's one of the 2. All right. Caleb Martin is the scoring Martin. So his defense is all right, but he's the scoring of the 2 Martins. After that, it ain't much to write home about. Charlotte plays zone because of the fact that there's not very many on-ball defenders. When you play zone, bad things happen. Either you'll get out-rebounded most nights, or if the zone isn't working and you have teams that can shoot the three-pointer, here you go. It's been, 5 or 6 times this year a team has set a season high against threes against the Hornets. Tonight, the Timberwolves had open looks. The Timberwolves are 7-20 for a reason. They just couldn't hit a shot to save your life. So as we look at the Hornets and what they're playing at, you have to look at the good and the bad. Some of the good things about the Hornets in the first half was, listen, they're playing way better than expected. Rozier has been really good. Gordon Hayward has been, I think, worth every dollar they've had of him. People say he's injury prone. He's only missed 3 games this season. He's missed 3 out of 30. He's missed 3 out of 35 games this year. If it's 3 or 4 out of 35 games this year, I'll take that. I'll take that for the production he's giving. If he's scoring it, he's also getting rebounds, also getting assists. The numbers match up. Rozier has taken a different direction offensively and has stepped into being one of the most dangerous catch and shoot players in the NBA. I think he's number 2 behind Joe Harris in percentage on catch and shoot. Those are things that are great. LaMelo Ball, after the injury, has been phenomenal. It's numbers he's putting up are numbers that I don't think I can remember a rookie since Magic Johnson, maybe LeBron James, that are putting up numbers like this as a rookie. The 2-time NBA Rookie of the Month is only getting better. And guess what? As much as people don't want to give James Borrego credit for putting this kid on the bench at the beginning, it might have been the best thing that could have happened to him. LaMelo sees the game completely different now compared to what he did back in December. He's playing defense differently now than he did in December. Is he making mistakes? Yes, he's making mistakes. Does he get switched up in bad defensive modes? Yes, he does. But this is nowhere near as close as it was in December. What James Borrego has taught LaMelo Ball is the fact of you got to play in control. A lot of the passes that LaMelo is making, those flashier passes, have calmed down. But what has happened is, because he has that ability to make those passes and what he has done to fix his game on the mental side of the game, he's able to get to the rim better. And why is he getting to the rim better? Because he's worked on something that was considered a weakness when he got into the league. People question his three-point shot. If you go back to my article at SI.com about LaMelo Ball in the scouting process, 2 of the things I mentioned was his shot selection and his defense, would be the 2 things that frustrated Hornets fans. His shot selection in Australia was atrocious because he was given the ability to shoot all the time. Now he's in an offense where he doesn't have to shoot all the time. He's actually picking and choosing where he's shooting. All right, he has range from anywhere across the court. We know this. But the quality of shots he's taking has been so much better in the second part of the first half of the season than was the first part. He's gotten better. And then because he's actually hitting shots out there and hitting them consistently, we saw it again tonight. He's hitting shots consistently. That's only going to allow him to drive to the paint more. The difference has been when he drives to the paint is about a month ago, every time LaMelo drives the rim, he was looking to pass, looking to find somebody. That was about maybe 90% of his drives, it seemed like. Every time he get the ball, he drive, and then he looked for Biyombo, where he's trying to find somebody in the paint. Now what he's doing is he's still looking for those guys in the paint, but he's also taking to the rim. And what he's also doing is taking to the rim and getting to the free throw line. He was struggling from the line from the beginning. Now he's getting better. It's all about the maturation process. And the one thing Hornets fans have to understand is when James Borrego was talking about keeping the kids' minutes in control, he's not trying to wear his rookie thin. What fans have to realize is there are 37 games after the All-Star break and right around 66, 67 days. That is literally 18 games a month over the next 2.5 months. That is a lot on a kid. All right. That's a lot. That's a lot on a veteran. That's a lot on a guy who's 25 years old. You can talk about LaMelo Ball being 19 years old all you want to. You do not want to run this kid in the ground before you need him the most. And that's going to be in the games in late April, early May, because the way the Hornets are playing, you're going to need him. The Hornets, I think, have 14 back-to-backs, I want to say it is, in the second half of the season. There's not going to be much practice time. And even Borrego has mentioned, JB's mentioned this on multiple occasions about the second half, how he's treating it. It's not trying to overload this team. It's not going to be as many practices. There'll be a lot more film sessions, but not in-depth film sessions because you want to make sure guys' mental state is going to be there. So with a lot of that being said, you want to be able to control the guys' minutes. This isn't a video game, and this is a sprint. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. The idea is to get to that final 10, and I think Charlotte has a good chance of doing that with or without any moves. The real question for Charlotte as we start the second half, you're ready to start the second half, or as we end the first half, is really the health of Devontae Graham. His sore knee kept him out again tonight, and one of the things that James Borrego had mentioned in pregame tonight about his knee was that it's soreness. There is soreness in that knee. It flares up. It's good. It's bad. You don't know what it is. If it was something like a toe or, I don't know, even a pinky finger, that's something you don't get concerned with. But when it comes to your knee, it's always a concern. The good news for Charlotte is Malik Monk's been playing out of his mind since he's been given the role. But you still need, as we've learned this season, you have to have depth at every position, especially with a team that plays small. Every little bit helps. People might not like Devontae Graham for whatever reason, maybe because people think he's JB's favorite player on the team or whatever you want to think about it is. What Devontae does bring for this team is, besides the fact of another steady playmaker that doesn't turn the ball over, and numbers don't lie, he's still one of the better shooters of this team. It could be a high-volume shooter, but guess what? It goes in. There's a reason why Devontae Graham's a 38 to 39% three-point shooter. It is what it is. He shoots a lot of threes, and he makes a lot of threes. On a team that relies on catch and shoots, on a team that relies on ball movement and getting to the right area, the right space, you're going to need those guys. Now, what is his role when he comes back? This is a completely different Charlotte team before he got hurt. It was already turning into the LaMelo Ball's team through the adjustment period when Terry Rozier was out. Now this is fully fledged LaMelo Ball running this team. I think Devontae is now going to have to start realizing that coming off the bench is going to be the best thing for him. Him and Malik Monk shooting the basketball is going to be a fun thing to do. Monk's an underrated playmaker, so he's going to be able to find Devontae for a lot of shots. And the good thing with Devontae coming back is it's another ball handler that you're going to have to be able to make plays. It's going to kind of help reduce LaMelo's minutes, but it's also going to make LaMelo's minutes with the court much more valuable because he's going to be able to expend a lot more energy when he's in the game more. I don't expect LaMelo Ball to go to the bench, and I hope James Borrego is put him back on the bench. Because if one thing is going to happen, you have fans back in the building on Saturday. It won't be Thursday. I'll mention that in a minute. With the fans being back in the building, I can only imagine if LaMelo Ball doesn't start that game, barring any type of injury on Saturday, if Devontae Graham is healthy. I do not want to be in that building at all. All right. So we'll have a week off between the show. Myself and Mr. Controversy himself, we both cover the Hornets. We're both going to be we'll do a hat show, preview the second half of the season, sometime either the weekend or beginning of the first part of next week. So we'll have a good chance to talk about the Hornets. And we'll also do a mailbag. I promise you, I've been wanting to do a mailbag talking about the deadline because the deadline's coming up March 26th and what we expect to see from the Hornets going in the second half of the season as well, too. Check out the show Beyond the Buzzer, which will be tomorrow night on Zingo Television, Channel 198, Blackjack Television, Blackjack TV, I-95 Sports, as well as Facebook Live and YouTube as well, too. Once again, thank you guys for stopping through tonight. Also, once again, like I said, we're going to talk more about the Hornets as we get closer to the weekend as well. Like I said, big shout out to everybody who stopped through tonight. And also like, share, tag, and subscribe to the show. You guys enjoy your week. And like I said, the All-Star game is on Sunday. Unfortunately, there's no Hornets available, which is kind of a good thing because guess what? Guys can go home and rest. The Hornets need a mental break. Terry Rozier said it tonight. Miles Bridges said it. Even JB said it. It's time for a mental reset. And guess what? The mental reset is going to be good because the Hornets are going to need every little bit of rest of it. So we'll check you guys out later on in the week. I appreciate you guys stopping through tonight. We'll check you guys later. Have a great week. Peace.